Good evening. Good evening. How's everybody doing? Very good, very good. Listen, I would like, before we begin, for every young person who is a part of the Newark Watershed Science and Leadership Academy to stand where you are right now. Just stand up where you are. And I want to give them a round of applause. The reason why I wanted to do that, I wanted the night to start off with us acknowledging our promise for tomorrow. When you look around at these young people, these are the brilliant minds that were a part of our Science and Leadership Academy. And these young people show a high aptitude for science and leadership. So give them another round of applause at this time. You may be seated. You may be seated. Now, young people, I would now want your parents to stand. Parents, guardians, I want you all to stand at this time. Look, they don't want to get out of their seats. They're like, I ain't trying to stand there. But now I want our young people to give your parents and guardians a round of applause right now. Give them a round of applause. Thank you. You may be seated. You may be seated. We are in for a wonderful treat on today. We are excited that you are here. My name is David Jefferson Jr., and I am the proud moderator of tonight and the facilitator of the Newark Watershed Science and Leadership Academy, the first of its kind in our city. And I also, just before we even began, I want us to give, our mayor was here. You know, he has a number of events that he has to do, but our mayor, Raj J. Baraka, can we give him a round of applause and encourage him? But tonight we're in for a treat, and I'm not talking about the food. Tonight we're in for a treat as we celebrate brilliant young people and the work that they've done in science and leadership. And so as we kick off, we know we're a little behind, but we're going to make up for that and catch up on some time. And we have some special folks that are here. And so we're going to kick off first with the young lady who really worked to make this happen with her remarks at this time. Please put your hands together for Ms. Tiffany Stewart, the Assistant Director of Water and Sewer Utilities, as she comes in.
I just want to thank everyone for coming. Like Mr. Jefferson said, this is the first of its kind program. I was charged, the department was charged by the mayor with creating a comprehensive watershed management program, and part of that was an educational program which would focus on teaching our young people science and engineering, chemistry, ecology, and just getting them more versed and more comfortable with the sciences in general. This is not a program that has ever been done, as far as I know, in the state of New Jersey or anywhere else. And I'm really proud to be a part of this program. I'm proud to be a part of the department, to work with Kareem, Pat Council, Kevin Greer, David Jefferson, a number of people who came together to make this a success. So I just wanted to share a little bit with you about what the kids did in the program. So part of the program, there were two parts to the program, the first of which is a one-day field trip where students come up, they get a very broad overview of what the watershed is about, what we do with the watershed, how we treat water. They got some information about some of the issues going on in the city, particularly with lead. You'll hear later in the program that one of our schools, West Side High School, actually did competed in a STEM contest and actually won first place based on some of the things that they had learned at that program. Yeah, we're really proud of them. So that was one part of the program. They also participated in some leadership development and did a tour of the Pequannock water treatment plant. It's not something that we had really developed a whole program around before. It actually worked out extremely well. We had the support of all of our team. Everybody came together, like I said, and just made sure that it was a success. The second part of that program, which are the students that you see here today, was our cohort program. That program was actually a more detailed curriculum, which involved more information about the engineering, more information about water treatment, chemistry. So they actually performed some lab testing. They actually worked in the water treatment plant with Kevin Greer. They participated in various different experiments, and actually at the end of that created their own watershed, which you can see displays of that over near the front door. They actually worked really hard on that, so we wanted to display some of their work. And then they also did more extensive leadership development. So we just want to congratulate them on their hard work, and we really appreciate all of the support from the teachers, because we know that it was a commitment from the teachers and the leadership as well, from the schools. We're proud to be able to have developed this partnership with Newark Public Schools and look forward to continuing that. So I just want to congratulate everyone that's here, and I hope to see you again next year. Thank you.
This work would not have been possible without the support of individuals at the Watershed, and I see Ms. Kenya here. I just want her to stand. She is one of the major individuals who helped us this year. Hi, Ms. Kenya. A Spelman graduate as well, so she's my sister because I graduated from Morehouse College. Just thank you. It's good to see you. Thank you for a great year. Thank you for all you've done. And with that being said, we need to bring up a gentleman who is unbelievable in leading our park and our recreational services department. He is a mentor and a friend. We're going to hear right now from Patrick Council, if he would come at this time.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. To Pastor Jefferson and Pastor Jefferson here, to our Director of Water, Director Adeem, and our Assistant Director Stewart. We are delighted to have you in this place tonight because of the work that you do. It is tantamount to what we need to continue to grow and develop young people in the city, to continue to push you to higher heights, and to let you know that what you're doing is not only innovative, but it's thought-provoking, it is outside the box, and it is uplifting and encouraging, and you should be excited about the opportunity that you have had, and you should be willing to want to go back and tell someone else about what it is that you have done up at the Watershed, being able to monitor and look at one of our most priceless commodities, which is our water, and being able to partake in 35,000 acres of wonderful land that belongs to you, that belongs to the city of Newark, for you to run, live, play, and enjoy yourself, and more importantly, to learn about the systems that are put in place. Why? Because it is important that we begin to generate the next leadership of the city, and not only in political leadership, but also in academia. And we need you to continue to hold up those vices, continue to learn, continue to grow, continue to make yourselves viable and resilient to the process. So when other people decide that they want to tell you no, you can stand up and affirmatively say yes. Yes to the city, yes to your education, yes to pushing yourself to higher heights, yes to being disciplined and obedient to what it is not only that your parents are saying, but to what it is there where you want to go and where you expound yourself going. And so I am delighted to be a part of the Science and Leadership Academy, because what is key to me is the leadership part. Learning and growing, but to understand all the phenomena that come with growing and developing your mind, growing and developing in an area where sometimes doesn't seem common to uncommon people. And so you get to push yourself, you get to challenge yourself in ways that profoundly speak to the needs and development of the city and what we need as future leaders, and we continue to encourage you to be future leaders. So not only as the Director of Recreation and Cultural Affairs, but on behalf of the mayor of this great city, we congratulate you. We are excited for you. We want to thank your parents. We want to lift them up. And we also congratulate the hard work of our men and women from the water department to be able to show you and give you different examples of not just the faucet coming on, but how that faucet in water influences and changes your life on a daily basis. So on behalf again of our mayor, my Department of Recreation and Cultural Affairs, we salute you for your hard work, your dedication, and we look forward to you continue to challenge yourself and push yourself. God bless you.
We will now have remarks from the man who makes it happen. And I'll tell you what, he has a way about him and how he leads. He leads not so much with speaking, but with action. And so I want to bring up right now the Acting Director of Water and Sewer Utilities, Mr. Kareem Adeem. Give him a round of applause as he comes at this time.
Good evening. First and foremost, I want to really congratulate everybody that came out and participated tonight. It's very important for us. We launched this thing back in December. We had a vision. We shared it with the mayor and recreation. And a lot of people thought we couldn't collaborate to bring things together. At first, it was a little rocky start, but we started getting more and more schools involved as they started seeing what we were doing. It's great to bring our kids outside of the city, right, to see things that we never seen before. Ms. Stewart, I want to just say, I want Ms. Stewart to stand up, right? Ms. Stewart right here. You need to acknowledge Ms. Stewart, right? Yeah. And thank her because she had a vision, and when she was given the go-ahead to run with it, right, and collaborate with those to bring them on board, she ran with it. She didn't stumble, right? And when she did have a little doubt at times, a little encouragement she got, she still proceeded with this project. So we're looking at 6 months later, there's a wonderful turnout here tonight. So we need to congratulate her. Yeah. Also want to congratulate all those principals that signed on and allowed the schools to come out. It was challenging at time. No one knew where the funding was going to come from, how we're going to get to the schools. And I thought it was a great idea for our kids to learn about our watershed. To get outside the city. By show of hands, how many of you this was your first time going to the watershed? First time? First time knowing about where your water come from. That you own that land. You sitting there today, we don't own it, you own it. We all own it together. It's a lot of land. So I just want to also thank you for understanding what these gentlemen did. So Mike Aranchenko, stand up. I want to say Mike Aranchenko, our superintendent at the plant, right? Kenya, I want to acknowledge everybody so they get to know, right? Jerry Noddy, our licensed operator. Kevin Greer. And we also sing, I know we sing Liel up there at times, right? Yes, helping her mother stand up, right? Helping them out. We wanted it to be a success. We want to acknowledge all those that you don't see all the time, but they played a key role in making this thing successful, as you did in volunteering to participate and come up there. It wasn't just a trip to be out of school, it was a trip to come up and learn, right? To come back and share with your friends. So next year, as we start the school year and we roll this program out, we're hoping to get a better participation. For some of you that was up there this year, we were able to share with your friends how great the experience was when we went up there to learn. So our mayor was here earlier. He was trying to stay around and wait for the bus to come. He had some other meetings, right, and it was to attend. We did want him to stay as long as he can to try to interact and tell you how proud he is of you guys coming up there in our first inaugural year to be a part of the Science and Leadership Academy. Without further more, I want to say thanks again. I want to give a big round of applause to everybody that came out. And let's do it again.
Thank you. Listen, every week, we can't really make this happen if we don't have great teachers and great leaders in our schools. I would like to ask for right now every teacher who is here that has been a part of this to stand at this time. We want to acknowledge you with a round of applause. Please stand, all of our teachers. Thank you. We, Miss Tiffany and myself, we believe in a collaborative work environment. And so these teachers didn't just come up and have a day off. They were very engaged. We could not have worked with their young people without their insight. They really know how to engage the brilliant minds of their students. And in partnership, we just wanted to say thank you for all you do as educators. At this time, we're going to bring up one of our community partners, a gentleman who I've known for a while because he's my dad. Reverend Dr. David Jefferson Sr. will come at this time and bring remarks from the community.
Well, good evening, everybody. Good evening. First of all, let me do a couple of things, and that is, I want to say that Newark has once again set the bar. Newark has once again, I would say, created a path and made history in that Newark is perhaps the first on the map to do what has been done. And oftentimes when we're making history, we really don't appreciate nor value what we're doing until we look back and definitely see the progress that we've made. Tonight is absolutely incredible. Tonight is phenomenal. Tonight is something that ought to represent a sense of encouragement and hope. Many times when a program like this takes place, they close the program and people go on about their business, but they never celebrate, and they never ever come to a point where people are made to feel proud of what they have done. And our young people need to know that we want to celebrate them and that we are proud of what they have done, because there are too many negative forces out there that are pulling on them who will celebrate them in a negative way. And tonight we're trying to do it in a positive way. All of these young people will look back, and I guarantee you they will remember this experience, because this experience has exposed them and opened them up to a level of knowledge that they perhaps would have taken for granted. You know, about maybe 5 years ago, I was reading this book on the 7 pillars of good health. And one of the things that was noted was one of the pillars happened to be water. The water you drink and the quality of that water has a lot to do with your brain. It has a lot to do with your heart. It has a lot to do with your blood. And it has a lot to do with your receptivity in terms of your attitude and your personality. And this author really broke that down in terms of how water really kind of create, if you will, what that person is made out of. And so to get exposed to this watershed, I haven't gone to the watershed. I don't even know where the watershed is, other than the fact that my son told me there's a watershed and some great things are going on with it. But I really, really do believe that at the end of the day, people really take for granted how important water is, and from an environmental point of view, how critical it is that we understand the makeup of water. And because we have this asset, because we have this treasure in Newark, we indeed ought to be grateful and thankful that this program has been put on. I don't even know all the people to thank, but when I walked in here and saw what I saw, I was deeply inspired and incredibly impressed with what had taken place. There is nothing better than to see young people taking a lead role. And I look over there at leadership and I say to myself, you know, at the end of the day, leadership is about the ability to influence others. And all of these young people have the opportunity to influence others. And I'm going to make it my point to get up to the watershed. I don't know when I'm going to go, but I really want to go up to the watershed and see what it's all about. Now, I know they've had these kids to stand once, but I really do believe that we can't celebrate them enough. And I want these kids to stand again, and here's why. I want them to stand because I don't want them to leave here tonight saying just the food was good and we had a good time. I want them to leave here tonight saying our parents and the leadership of Newark was absolutely proud that we were a part of this program. So I want all of these kids to stand again, because we ought to indeed pump them up. We ought to give them a major hand of applause, and we ought to indeed make sure, come on, we really ought to give it up and give these kids a round of applause. This, and I want all of these kids to remain standing. I, for one, can say to you that our nation right now is struggling with the notion of embracing the environmental challenges that we will have going forward. And there are a lot of people who don't believe in those particular environmental challenges, but our mayor and the school system and the leadership at the Watershed and the persons who had the vision has done a lot in order to make sure that we are not behind the 8 ball when it comes to this. And for you all to get the investment that has been made in y'all, let me tell you, we are proud of you. We are so glad that you indeed had an opportunity to go through the program, and eyes have not seen and ears have not heard what God has in store for you all as not just our future leaders, but our leaders today, and being able to influence your peers and let them know about the experience you've had. So parents, let's give it up for these scholars and for these geniuses and for these young people. That made you all feel good, didn't it? Y'all feel good about that? I can't hear you. Yes. All right, you may be seated. Thank you very much.
All right. Are you hungry? Are you hungry? Now see, let me tell you something. All year long, when we go up to the Watershed, I have to tell these young people to be quiet. Now when we're here with their parents, everybody's behaving. I love it. I wish the parents were here all the time. But let me say this before we break for dinner. Your children are brilliant, and your children have a high aptitude for new experiences. Recently, we just watched the NBA Finals take place, and one of the things that we talk about is sports. And I know there's a number of young people who participate in sports. But this program was about inciting and exciting the scientific leader in our young people. We need to understand that there's a promise for young African American and Hispanic scientists. We have not put a major focus on that. And the demographic that we served this year over 1,309 young people through this curriculum. But as you can see, we do not have enough chicken for 1,300 people tonight. But what we do have is a cohort group that we selected. We identified this cohort group, which was 5 schools, because of the behavior, because of the attitude, and because of the leadership of schools. And so the young people who are in this room have been set apart, and they were selected out of a large group of individuals to come up continually to the Watershed. They were able to see the seasons change, and more importantly, they were able to work with a great group of individuals out of our water treatment plant. Mike is a man who is looking at me right now like he doesn't want to say anything, so I'm not going to get into him, but I want to share this about the water treatment plant. Never before in the city has there been, or maybe a few years ago there was something, but nothing to the degree of opening the doors of the water treatment plant where our water gets treated and having young people get exposed to it. So our young people not only got exposed to the source of which our water comes from, but they were also exposed to a number of chemists, scientists, engineers out of the water treatment plant. That is crucial and important because what it did was it exposed our young people to understand why what they're learning in the classroom is essential to their learning process. And so this could not have happened without these gentlemen here. And I want to say, you know, from the bottom of my heart, every week when we went in, you guys welcomed us in. The entire staff was professional. You did a great job with our young people, and you had a heart for working with young people. We appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for being great partners in this. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, guys. Thank you. One of our cohort schools was Westside High School. And this year, Westside High School not only represented very well with our academy, but they also extended themselves outside of the academy, and they entered into the Newark Board of Education STEAM Expo this year, where a number of high schools were invited to participate, and they ended up using a watershed project as their example, an experiment, and they came in first place. This is their award. So there's a lot more going on at Westside than just Ellen and Oprah giving them a lot of money, right? There's some great things happening. So I want Mr. Nas to come at this time and share a few words, if you would. He was our teacher cohort. He would come at this time. And all of Westside can come stand with him at this time. I'd like to see you all stand with him.
Come on, Westside, support me right now.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. This is Westside High School. We were one of the cohorts that went to the Watershed. Because of the experience with the Watershed, that led these students here to take the initiative to actually tackle an issue that that Newark, the city of Newark was having with the water issue. So they wanted to test the actual high schools to see if the water that they were using was safe. And you know, as we know as educators, we were just facilitators, right? To guide students to actually deal with real issues, and that's exactly what they did. So I don't want to say much. I just want to give them the spot to introduce to you exactly what they did, how they went about it doing it, and the result that they actually found, if we have time for them to do that. Right? So give them a round of applause. They work real hard. Okay, gentlemen.
All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen and fellow students. So in relation to the science project, what we chose to do was, since science is meant to benefit society and mankind, we chose to first tackle one of the problems in our city, that was the lead in the water. So what we did was, we partnered with Rutgers. They gave us some equipment to use and the technology for the analysis. Then we took samples of water from all public schools from all 4 wards from Newark. Then we tested them. When we tested the water supply, the results that we found, my brother here will continue.
Okay, so we tested, as he said, 4 of the major high schoolers, and my friend right here's home, and his home was one of the homes that went through the PVC pipe change. That's why we deliberately chose his house. With the different homes in the city, for the different schools, we tested Behringer close by, West Side, Central, and what was the last one?
West Side.
And Dr. Orton. So after looking at all the results, we realized no lead. So you can clap that up, no lead. That's it. And should I swap? No.
And
Swap. So, and we realized that since the schools have the filters, we understand that the filters are working right, and as well as in Tommy Watt's home outside the school, where he doesn't have the filters, there's no lead as well. So that's also well. So residentially and the school, everyone's fine. But the thing that we realized is that because of the filters, we realized there's no lead there, and because of the PVC pipe change. After going to the Watershed, we realized that there's, from our source of water, that everything is fine, and it's not the water itself, it's the leads in the infrastructure of the city that needs to be changed. Good. And that's the main reason why we wanted to do the project, is because we wanted people to understand that it's not the water, because we have good water. Everyone here will tell you that we have good water, but it's just the pipes that needs to be changed. No,
all right. And then in relation to, let's finish this real quick. Let me finish this quickly. In relation to the lead being in the water, right, we know that the city of Newark incorporated in 1836, right? During that time, lead pipes were used for the construction of homes. And then for the invention of the PVC, which was introduced to Germany, invented in Germany and introduced in your piping system in the house in 1936, got to America, the United States in particular, in 1952. So from that point in time, from 1836, the establishment of Newark, to that point in time, we're dwelling on the lead in our water source. Lead for transporting water from the watershed to the city. And as we all know, sometimes these elements sometimes sip into our water when they're moving down the tanks down the pipelines to our great city. That's what accounts for the lead in the water. But then for the filters and the PVC, the problem is solved.
So thank you for your time. These students, they worked very hard. They even took the time out during the spring break vacation to actually go around the school and collect the water samples. And this was all due to the education that was introduced at the Watershed. I would recommend everyone, if you have not been down there, go down there, see what actually the Newark is actually doing. Okay, thank you. Again, give them a round of applause. Thank you.
Yeah, show the board. And you notice he took that award back real quick. I had it up here. He put that. So this is their model.
Let me explain it. All right, so if you want to, let me explain our data here. So for some, you see the blue lines here, which says EPA regulations, where EPA is standing for the Environmental Protection Agency. So they have standards and limits for which every city which produces water for its citizen has to abide by. And then we have the flash sample and the non-flash. What the flash sample means is EPA said for the first 8 minutes when you open your tap, there will be some residue on the tap, so you're supposed to allow that to flush out. Then the latter 8 minutes you could use your water because then it's the quality that the city produces. Turbidity. So from east side, right, the EPA states you're supposed to have this little amount of aluminum in the water, but then during the flash sample, during the flash period and the non-flash period, there was none from each side, so there was no aluminum in each side's water. There was no copper, there was no iron, but you realize something. With sodium, during the flash sample, there was more sodium to be expected because of the residue. Then the non-flash sample, there was a less amount, but then there was more than the EPA regulation. Now, is this dangerous? No, it's not. Why? Because sodium is a macronutrient, and one function of sodium in our body is it helps to maintain the water levels in our body. So for the sodium being in that high amount, it's okay. For the problem of lead, as you can see, there's nothing here for the lead. It's totally empty. There's a little bit of zinc. Zinc is a micronutrient, and then it meets up with the EPA standard. So the zinc and the water too, it's fine. Now with the student's house, he had a PVC piping, right? He had just one thing in his water that wasn't in the other city, in the school's water. He had iron. Now, as we know, since we get our water from from a natural, from a drainage system, right? Some of the dissolved elements in water is magnesium and iron. So us finding iron in his water was something to be expected since he just changed his pipe and did not use the filters. That is why he has iron in his water.
All right.
Can we give these brothers another round of applause? You may go to your seats, brother. Go. Let these geniuses go to their seats. Okay. So it is very encouraging for our young people to speak in that manner. You know, oftentimes I tell our young people when we're at the Watershed, I say, how many of you young people have phones, cell phones? Raise your hand. Uh-huh. How many of you pay those bills for those cell phones? Put your hands down. The parents paid it, right? So we also talk about this at the Watershed. We talk about the value of water, and that water comes with a cost. And so one of the main components of what we teach is not only the history of Newark's watershed, the water treatment and basic chemistry, but we're also teaching our young people to be critical thinkers and to be leaders. And this opportunity in this academy also teaches civic engagement. So with that being said, we just want to give you an understanding of what the certification program entailed. We selected 5 schools, as you're aware. We invited these young people to be a part of this program. They came up from the beginning of the year all the way throughout the year, every month, and they had an opportunity to see the seasons change, but most importantly, they were grounded in the history of Newark's watershed. They were giving an understanding of the water treatment plant and the basic chemistry in which it entails. They also have a better understanding of the basics of Newark's reservoirs. They also know what activities are permitted at the watershed and why, along with them learning water infrastructure and engineering. And they've also become a scientific leader in our city, and they are on their way to be individuals who can operate our water resources in the future. They engaged in leadership development, civic engagement, and they also were allowed the opportunity to utilize tools for academic success. So at this time, they have completed our curriculum, and we are proud at this time to present them with their certificates on today. Now, before everyone comes with their certificates, we do want to let you know that we've selected 5 students who have shown themselves to be extraordinary in the areas of leadership and academics. So we're going to call them at this time, and we're going to present them with their awards, and then we will give out their certificates, and then we'll get you home to enjoy the rest of your evening. At this time, I'd like to call up a brilliant young lady who has an unbelievable energy and spirit. Every time she came up, she represented with a smile on her face and a brilliant mind, and her classmates, I noticed, followed her and her leadership. Would Angelica Martinez come up at this time? Leadership. That's up. Come here, Angelica. Isn't she so cute? She's so cute. Where's her mother? Mommy's right there. Come here. I want you to get a picture so you can see her. And Miss Angelica, I see you, little baby. I see you, little sister. Would you like to say anything about the Academy? Yeah?
I would.
Go right ahead, Angelica. We love to hear from you.
Okay, so I before did not know where our water came from, and I didn't know how much we were damaging it. But thanks to the Watershed and DJ, my favorite, he has taught me, and so did the group, that we need to take care of this whole entire city and the water, because the water helps us, grow, and it's part of our, daily life routine.
Good job. You make up. This next individual is an amazing guy. From the moment he came up, he represented as a leader in everything that we did. Whenever there was an issue or problem, he was there to solve it. But most importantly, he had a spirit of leadership. I'm going to say it right now. He is heading wherever he wants to go, and he's going to accomplish whatever it is that he wants to accomplish. He is a very brilliant man, and I'm proud to have him as one of our leadership leaders. Joshua Gilliam, if you could come up at this time. That's that Josh right there. Come on, brother. Proud of you, man. Good guy. Good guy. You gonna say something? Say something real quick. Say something. That's Go ahead.
My first thoughts coming to this program, it wasn't based on, all right, I'm gonna come here and get a trophy. It was based off of the knowledge that I might learn today. With the following instructions that I learned from Reverend DJ and the others that continued to show me, I feel as though I could continue in society to give back with a more educational environment of giving more to the children. Thank you.
He's also one of our first stipend winners as well. He received a $50 stipend this year for the work that he did. Give him another round of applause. Now, our young ladies are brilliant. If you don't know, I have daughters. These young ladies are so bright. But there's one particular young lady who stood out academically. Whenever I'm working with our young people, I always identify leaders. And her hand is always one of the first to go up. And it's also one that I notice, has a major brilliant mind as it relates to academics. I'm going to ask Miss Ayat Muhammad to come up at this time, please. I'm proud of you. Thank you. You had a great year. Here's your award. You want to see something? Come on, you want to see one thing? No? You cool? Yeah. Okay, good. She said she don't want to say anything. And now this young lady, she helped me teach. I don't know if you know, you have some students sometimes that when you're working on things, they know before you know, and they can share before you share. And Anaya Stevens was one of those individuals. I'm going to ask Miss Anaya to come up. That smile on your face. You want to say something? Okay. That's your friend? Oh, okay. This next gentleman, when I shared my story about how originally when I applied to Morehouse College, I got denied acceptance. But from there, I was able to challenge the system, and I was able to get into Morehouse and graduate cum laude thanks to my father standing behind me and having my back. And when I shared that story, this brilliant young man, was telling me that he wanted to go to UPenn, but they had put him on a waiting list. And I said, well, they're going to wait, but you just keep on going forward because eventually they're going to make the decision and hopefully they'll let you in and they'll come to their senses. Tonight, he just led a diagram and he just explained this diagram that helped his school get this award. I want Nana to come up at this time. He is one of our academic achievers. Good? Certificates? You going to transfer to UPenn or you going to stay where you at? Because you got that money where you at.
Getting go for my master's.
You can get your master's at UPenn? You want to say something? Real quick.
So I'm grateful to the Watershed for teaching me some new things about our city, and then some other stuff that I didn't know was in our water. They helped me a lot, and then Mr. David here gave me a lot of encouragement through my college crisis, which I really do appreciate. And then the Watershed too did offer us some wonderful opportunities, which I really appreciate, and I'm grateful to them for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Before I hand anything out, I'm just going to have this gentleman come up and speak. Our Watershed program consists of 2 parts. Our students come to the Watershed, and then they head to the water treatment plant. My expertise is in leadership, and it is in helping young people get on track academically, and it's also teaching motivation. When it comes to the water treatment plant, there are experts who handle that for our city. Kevin Greer is a partner who has really been amazing this year in making sure that our young people understand wholeheartedly what happens at our water treatment plant. Would you mind, Mr. Greer, coming and just bringing a word?
Thank you. Good evening, good evening. I'm a little nervous, so I'll keep it short and sweet, but this has come full cycle for me because I was born and raised in the city of Newark, in particular Grafton Avenue projects. And I remember our water used to be rusty quite often. And I paid no attention to it at that time because I was very young. I went on to have a career, or actually a job, doing some other things. And that job let me go over time. And I reached out to my pastor and my mentor, Dr. Jefferson, and he turned me on to and introduced me to some people that could help me out. And they got me a job at the water treatment plant. And I started off as the only African-American person there, the only person of color there, and moved on to get my license, get some certificates, and become the person I am today. So it's been a full cycle of dealing with water and having them here today, and dealing with DJ and my director, Kareem, assistant director, Tiffany. It's been a wonderful experience, and I appreciate you all. But most importantly, thank you for the opportunity to work with the young people. That's my forte. That's what I love to do, and let's continue to do it. Thank you.
This is the inaugural class, everyone. This is our inaugural class.